Facing disappointing polling in his run for re-election, President Trump has been reaching for his 2016 playbook. Politico reports Mr. Trump has been calling several key players from his first run for advice and reassurance that he can pull off an upset just like he did 4 years ago. This, as a new memoir from a former top Trump campaign official, details the president's takeover of the Republican Party and why Democrats ultimately failed to beat his chaotic 2016 campaign. Rick Gates writes, if the Democrats had paid more attention to what voters saw in Trump rather than focusing on what his detractors hated about him, perhaps they could have come up with some better strategies to defeat him in these swing states. With me now is Rick Gates. He served as deputy campaign chairman for the Trump campaign in 2016. He's also author of the new book, Wicked Game. Rick, thanks for joining us today. So you say Democrats didn't understand the appeal of Trump in 2016. Is 2020 the same? Is that appeal still there? And do you think Democrats are doing a better or worse job, or the same, handling it this time?
Katie, thanks for having me. Yeah, look, it's kind of deja vu from 2016 to today. When I wrote a lot of those observations, I didn't really know how many might apply today, but I think a lot of them still hold true. I think that you are seeing a much more vigilant Democrat Party in terms of the battleground states and how Trump won in 2016. I thought last weekend with Jennifer Dillon coming out and appealing to Democrats saying, don't get complacent. You know, a lot of people said that might be spin. I don't think it was spin at all. I think they're very aware of all the polling data they had in 2016. It matches up almost the same today. And they don't want to go into 2020 thinking that they might lose a lot of these battleground states again. So I think they're more aware of it. But I still think the appeal is actually even stronger for President Trump. I think that that silent vote, as we call it the Trump factor in 2016, that is very much alive and very much in play. And that's why a lot of the polls are currently wrong as well.
Let me ask you about this. You say in 2016, one of the polling indicators that Trump's pollster Tony Fabrizio used was the trustworthiness poll. And as long as Donald Trump was better than Hillary Clinton on trustworthiness, he would be okay. So this year we pulled trustworthiness numbers from Gallup, which is the publicly available numbers, and they show that Joe Biden has trustworthiness on Donald Trump by 12 points, although Donald Trump is a bit higher than he was in 2016. So do you think that this is still an indicator?
No, I don't think, look, it was one indicator of many. And I think that Joe Biden's going to have to do a very good job tonight of defending his alleged scandal with his son with respect to Russia, China, and Ukraine. He didn't do a good job yesterday in his response. And I think that number is going to go down depending on how he answers it after the debate. But he's got to answer it. He's got to address it. And so far he hasn't. And I think that'll affect that number moving forward.
6 in 10 Americans, according to Quinnipiac, say the coronavirus is out of control. More than 200,000 Americans are dead. The president won't take any personal responsibility for the way that he has handled the reaction to this virus. As somebody who worked on the 2016 campaign, is this the kind of presidency that you were hoping for?
Yeah, look, I think as a president, he has done everything and more that anybody in that situation could have done. If you look at the very beginning of this, the scientists...
Really, more than 200,000 people are dead. You think he's done everything and more?
Yeah, look, I think he's been able to save a lot of people in the overall context. Look at other countries, how many people have died in terms of proportional population. So look, no government, no country was prepared for any of this across the world. And I think as we move forward, we definitely need to solve it. I think he's done a great job on getting a plan for the vaccine. I think, honestly, his corporate mentality helped push that through. You can even see some of the FDA and CDC are a little bit worried about how fast it's gone through. But he's driven to find a vaccine. And I think that's very important moving forward, especially as we come into the winter and into the early spring where it could the numbers could ramp up.
Our deaths per capita are a lot higher than other countries, especially other countries that are comparisons to the U.S. Just one other thing. I know you've said that you wanted a pardon from the president when it comes to your jail sentence having to do with the investigation and the Mueller investigation. I've spoken, and I don't mean this personally, but I've spoken with a lot of Trump insiders today. I remember this back in my coverage from 2016. You weren't well liked by the president. Why are you still on his side? Why are you holding out for a pardon?
Well, look, it's what, what he stands for that I believe in and where I think he can take this country. That's important to me. I mean, as a voter, as an American, I have my opinions about who I think can best lead the country. And he absolutely, is doing that from my perspective. I know other people wouldn't agree. But it's not a matter of, whether it's dislike or like. I mean, I did the best job I could, at the time that I was at the campaign. And obviously, I think we did a pretty good job. The president got elected. And so, yeah, but I mean, the whole Mueller thing is the whole Mueller investigation is a completely different component as well. And this wasn't about me or anybody else other than the president. This is when an opportunity, an attempt to take down a duly elected president. And we know more today about that overall investigation than we did 3 years ago. And I think I hope the president looks at all that and sees that this was an attack on him, not us. We were just used as pawns to attempt to get to him, and none of us, had anything on the president. So there's no need to put us through that. But they did anyway.
Rick, there are a number of investigations that have gone into the origins of the Russia investigation, and they haven't come up with anything. Rick, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate all of your time. Good luck out there.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.